Hello everyone, and thank you for joining our Tech Events Planning One-to-One. And before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Aicha Laafia. I'm a Java software engineer at Havana Group, currently working with a client that's called CFTP, which is a legal insurance company operating in France, Luxembourg, and Belgium. So I'm a Moroccan living in France right now, and beside my work, I'm passionate about green programming, Java ecosystem, and advocating for women in tech. I'm also a YouTuber and community contributor and member of the Moroccan Association for Computer Science. And for some fun facts about me, I'm a foodie lover and a big Formula One fan. So, in this talk, I'll try to give you the recap of my experience on organizing almost like 45 tech events in the last 7 years. And like the first question that you might want to ask yourself is, why do we hold events? Well, not because we have much time to waste or because we want to show off, as many people assume. I know we heard that comment a lot. But the main reason is communication of IT knowledge. As you know, every day we're bombarded with the new tech, frameworks, features, libraries, and we cannot keep up with all this. Like we have life outside of bits and bytes. We have families and so on. And this is where the IT communities step in. Like they organize events to keep up updated on the latest like IT trends or like giving us tips on the technology they are focused on and so on. And the good thing is that those events also help to bring other communities together because they're usually like a tech fest where everyone is curious to attend, open, and always welcoming new members. But wait, there is more. How organizing events can help you as a person? Well, each time we organize an event, we need to be innovative. We need to look for new ideas because people will lose interest if we keep repeating the same thing. Also, when we talk about events, we have a lot. We have a bunch of tasks to complete in a very limited time, which will teach you by the end how to like master time management. Moreover, reaching out to various individuals will also help by building and expanding your professional network. When you organize events, you will always need to meet up with different people. So in summary, you can say that organizing tech events will boost your soft skills. As a bonus, you will get a new cool friends that will share the same passions as you. And if you are a tech folk, you can send IT memes or nerdy memes to each other too. And now, let's begin the fun. First thing first, you need to build your events team, which typically include like, in general, we have the core team, sponsorship, program administration, logistics, and communities. But before like we go into this team, make like you don't need to stick to this structure. Be flexible with it. It can change based on your needs. If you need like to divide these teams to mini teams or sub teams, do it. Well, there is a principle in clean code for Java that's called the single responsibility principle, and I like to implement it in the event structure too. Like it's saying that each entity, we call it team, need to handle one responsibility or one feature or functionality. You can implement this on your team too. Like one team can handle, for example, finance, it's one responsibility, marketing, it's one responsibility, but we can combine some similar responsibilities. For example, we have the design, the marketing, we can combine it in communication, and so on. It's always like based on your needs and like the capacity of the human that or the members that could help in your events. So we are not talking like about, for example, we have 10 people and you will have 10 teams. No, they will not work. Or you have like, for example, 80 people and you will create only 4 teams. And each team have 20 people that handle different unrelated like responsibilities. So be wise, be flexible with structure. And now let's start with the core team. And this is like the main principal team because it defines the main objective and goal of the events by answering these 5 questions we have: for who, where, when, about what, and how to organize all this. For who means you need to know your audience. You need to define the target audience who's going to attend your event. Is it specific targets like developers, students, seniors, juniors, and so on? Or simply it's open for everyone? And it's really crucial to define your audience because it will help you to answer other questions simply or easily and wisely. So the second question is where. You need to choose your location. Is this on-site? Is this online? What's the capacity of the venue? And you need to make sure to choose a location that's easily accessible by your target audience. And for the capacity, you need to pay attention, like choose or with the like moderation. You don't want to end up with a big venue, the many empty chairs, or a small venue that people have to stand up all the time. Moving to our second, which is when. This is where you need to check the availability of your target audience and the flexibility of your date and time. This is like the most common mistake I saw a lot of events organizers do because you might have a preferred date and time in your mind, but you also need to consider the season, the weather, the holidays, and the competition if there are other events around that time too. For example, like you are targeting students to attend your events. You don't want to organize an event during the exam periods, especially like try to avoid 2 weeks before the exam in 1 week after the exam because people will be tired, only want to like sleep, especially if they were having like sleepless night preparing and so on. And even if they attend the event just after the exam, they could not like focus mainly on what you're giving. Also, if you are targeting like employees, try to avoid organizing events in the middle of the week or the middle of day two. Especially if there are meetups. If there are big events, people need to travel, they might take some like leave or vacation for that, but meetups, it's kindly people will try to avoid that. And now, third point is about what. This is where you need to fix the central ideas of your conference, aka you need to define the theme for your events that will help you to know what you can focus on and what you can like really ignore. Because we know sometimes we are super excited about a theme and we are about like an idea that will be like the main idea of our events, and we got driven over that passion about that excitement, we will find ourselves wasting time on some unrelated topics. Like you need to define the event's roadmap and stick to it. Also, to help you need to select or create your event planning tools, such as, for example, you can use Trello or Notion for task management. We have Figma or Canva for designing. For communication, you can use Discord, Slack, or even WhatsApp community. It's helpful too. If you have everyone's phone number, why not? So, like after answering these 5 questions, this is where like our main team start their work by organizing the work of other teams and keeping them like synchronized during the process of organizing tech events or like creating tech events. And now let's move to our second team, which is the program administration, my favorite one. I used to work and I enjoy a lot working with like it's all about creating the event agenda, and this is why I call them the architects of the events. Like they create the structure of your events, how it's going to be. Like it's like they build the events. So first thing first they do is to look for potential speaker. We have the classic method. We directly reach out to the potential speaker, we invite them, And we have the modern one, the common one we use right now is the CFP or like CFS. It's either like call for speaker, call for paper, call it whatever you want, where we share a form, a post, allowing speaker to submit their proposal, sorry, and then we select speakers from the submitted list. We do this to provide like our community members with opportunity to share their knowledge and engage in public speaking. And this is why like I recommend you for to have one slot or two minimum for like first time speaker. Give them the chance even if you find their talk not that relevant, but if they are close enough to your roadmap, as we said, or the main topic of events, accept it, because let people shine. And it's always the most hard like thing to do is that first step. So we try to facilitate the first step for the young speaker, the first time speaker. And as an ex first time speaker, I'm glad for like, I'm always thankful for community who provides me with this, because this is what let me to shine and share my knowledge. And I went from not only working backstage on event, but on the stage. So additionally, like with like beside community members, we have IT experts. We will share their like latest IT trends or some tips that can help expanding our knowledge and so on. And also we like to I like to share, or I like to invite people from like famous startups, companies, CEOs, people that can share their inspiring and successful stories that will help us to bring out our best. And then when we have a list of our speaker, the next step is to create the persona of the events or the agenda of the events by specifying the types of activities we want, such as conferences, keynotes, workshops, hackathons, deep dive, and so on. You need to check like what type of activities you want, and then we define their duration and quantity before arranging them in order to finalize the event agenda. And once the agenda is complete, the work of this team is done, and we can move to our third team, which is the sponsor. Like that's the least team I enjoy working with. The hardest, the toughest team. Why? Because they are the one responsible for providing the finance, providing resources, and the tech events drain resources a lot. And especially because the main struggle is how to let people, to convince people to invest and to trust or to put money in tech events. So to facilitate like the process for you, I'll try to create what we called the marketing strategy or the sponsorship marketing strategy. First thing first, build a list of sponsors that you want to participate in your event. And before reaching out to them, you need to conduct a deep research to understand how they will benefit from participating in your events. You need always to make sure that it's a win-win situation, like for you and for them. You will benefit like from their resources, and they will benefit like from, for example, from their audience targets. uh like to simplify the things, for example, I will give you, when I was a student, we convinced a bank to be one of like our main sponsor by providing them, or simply I told them like this: we have students as a target audience, and those students might want to create their first banking account. So we'll provide you with the future customer. It's a win situation for you, and for us, we need resources with like XYZ amount of money. It's a win-win situation. and we convinced them, and they like sponsored our events for the 3 years when I was students back there. I don't know if they are still sponsored or not. So this is why you need to really do your research. And also you need to create and manage a real, like, concise sponsorship marketing strategy by writing high quality external communication materials. This is where I'm talking about the sponsorship letters, and you need always to research and assign someone who's really fluent and good at money talk. It's always about negotiating with the with the potential sponsor of the event. You need to send good or great convinced materials with like the good, or we can call it the right person to talk. So by the end, when you define or you establish or you complete like the list of the sponsors already agreed, this is when you can establish the event budget. And well, we cannot say the sponsoring team work is not finished yet. We will meet them later. But now let's move to our other team, the fourth team, which is the communication. This is the team that I'm still working. Like, for example, for the marketing institution, for in computer science, I'm still a member of the like media and design team. So I'm still part of the communication team right now. And we talk about communication, we talk mainly about event branding. This is about creating a logo, color, like palette and typography, especially like when you define these three elements, then you can start to create the on-site decors, the email, signage, social media accounts, and more. And before you publish anything on them, you need to define your social media strategy. I'll try to simplify this for you by focusing on three things. Presence. We will focus mainly on the quality of your event's branding. For example, you need to have a simple logo that should be unique and yet should be detectable at a glance. People can read the logo, can understand the logo at a glance that it belongs to your events. Also, you might want to limit your color templates to 3 colors for simplicity's sake, which means that your post can be easily detectable by your target audience while scrolling, for example. And for like typography, please limit it to 2 types, because otherwise your audience will feel like the eyes will feel tired while reading your posts, and that will let like your audience to lose interest. We don't want that. And for the influence, it simply means maximizing your event's reach by choosing the right times and platforms for sharing posts. And by right times and platforms, if we talk about your target audience, you need to check like which time they are more online, which platform they are using, and please avoid spamming to maintain audience interest. Otherwise, your pages or social media will either be blocked or muted, and we don't want that too. And finally, we have the visibility, the most important like strategy for me, because you need to ensure that the content you share in your posts is accurate, authentic, and aligned with your event's objects. Transparency is always the key, as it helps attendees to know what to expect during the event, and also like build credibility and encourage people to attend your future events. So even if it's not related to the same topic, but they trust in your plan in organizing. And when you define that, then you can easily like start to create your posts. You can either schedule them. There are some tools. If you are for Meta, they are already built-in tools. You can use Twitter too, or you can use some like all-in platforms such as Buffer. For Buffer, like for the free, you have 3 channel. You can use like at the same time for free. Otherwise, you'll have to pay for extra one too. So there are tools you can use. Look for them. it depends on your budget. You will have anything that you look for. And we'll let like the communication team do its work by sharing like what's happening, what's the progress of like events planning, uh, like informing people about the speaker, the agenda, activities, and so on. We'll let them do this work, and we'll move to our final team, which is the logistics, or I love to call them the physical forces, our superheroes, because they're responsible for planning and the management of the infrastructures, like from logistics. This is we're talking about materials, tables, microphones, platform, especially like if you are online events or location, like the venue, if you are talking about on-site events, we have also like sometimes we need shelves, so transport too, and service such as accommodation, DG set. Yeah, there are some events who like to add DG set too. Food, why not? Like they need to provide service that can help facilitate or can make our event enjoyable for both attendees and speaker. So this team like create a list of all infrastructure and service needed, and when it's finalized, let's welcome back the sponsorship team. And this is where the sponsoring and the logistic teams discuss to see if like the budget or the money that we have is sufficient, or like I would say it's sufficient to cover all the infrastructure and service needed. If it's not the case, and let's be real, it's always not the case, we're always short of money, we have like, can call it three options. First option is for the sponsoring to look for new sponsors, newer like resources. Second option is that for like logistics to look for a cheaper option. The third option that you might want to find yourself doing, especially if it's your first event, you will chip in, yeah, from your own money to help like organizing the event. So by the end, when they finalize and cover all what's needed for the events, and this will say thank you the sponsoring team and let the logistic finish its work. And this is like logistics continue the preparation of the event requirements, like the check if all the resources needed are like provided, are there, and always continuously check the deadlines are met. They don't want some like night before the event surprise or 3 days before event surprise something happening with the venue, or like microphones are not provided or not working and so on. This is always you need to check the most important things, or the resources are there at least 2 weeks before your events. Just in case something wrong happened, you can like always have plan B or COD. You always have the time for that. So this team also like is responsible for organize the planning and the follow-up of the event from the starting ceremony, where they need to check like the materials, the microphone, and so on before people are coming, to the end or the closing, where they need to shut down the venue, take all the materials to their place, and so on. So in by this, logistics work is finished by like the closing ceremony. And so as my presentation, and it's time to say thank you all for joining my talk. I try to give you just a brief information about or tips you can use to organize your tech events. If you need anything specific, you can reach out to me via Twitter. I will always go with Twitter, or LinkedIn, or like for Instagram or Blue Sky. You'll find the link tree here with all the information needed, or you can contact me directly there. There is a contact me form there. So thank you again, and see you in another event.